Okay, so I have to talk to you about what happened last week, because if you're a content creator, especially one who relies on social media platforms for your traffic, then this is something that you genuinely need to understand. Last Wednesday, March 25th, 2026, a jury in Los Angeles handed down a landmark verdict against Meta and Google's YouTube. And honestly, I think this could be one of the most important stories for creators, and nobody is fully connecting the dots yet. Because on the surface, it looks like a legal news story. But when I started digging into the details, I realized this could change how the entire social media algorithm game is played. And if that happens, the creators who have already built their entire strategy around search-based platforms are going to be really far ahead. So today I want to break down what exactly happened, why it matters, and why platforms like Pinterest are quietly becoming the smarter long game in all of this. Let's get into it. But first, we gotta grab some coffee. Yes, I'm filming this in March and using a Christmas tree mug. I love Christmas. So let me break this down simply, because I know that legal stuff can get overwhelming fast, and I am not a lawyer, I'm simply relaying the facts. The plaintiff in this case was a 20-year-old California woman. Her identity is not private, but in this video, I am going to refrain from using her name for her privacy. So she sued Meta, who owns Instagram, Facebook, and Google's YouTube. There were originally two more companies named as well, TikTok and Snapchat, but both of them settled before the trial even started. This woman's case was this. She said that she started using YouTube when she was 6 years old, and that she started using Instagram when she was 9. By the time she had finished elementary school, she had posted nearly 300 videos. And over time, she developed severe anxiety, depression, body dysmorphia, and suicidal thoughts. And her legal team argued that the design of these platforms was a huge factor in causing harm. Now, here's what makes this case different than anything that's come before it. Most legal challenges against social media platforms in the past were really centered and focused around content, like what people post, what gets shared, and what gets moderated. And historically, tech companies have been protected by something called Section 230, which basically says that internet companies cannot be held liable for what users decide to post on the platform. But this case didn't go after content. It went after the design of the platform itself. So the plaintiff's legal team argued that features like infinite scrolling, auto replays, push notifications, and recommendations made by the algorithm were deliberately designed to keep users, especially young users, hooked and addicted to the platform. Not accidentally, deliberately. And here's where it gets really uncomfortable for these companies, because the jury got to see internal documents. The jury was shown internal memos and communications from inside Meta. One document included a note that said, and I'm paraphrasing, that if we want to win big with teens, that we need to bring them in as tweens. I'm linking all of my resources below. There was another internal finding that showed that 11-year-olds were 4 times more likely to keep coming back to Instagram compared to competing apps, even though the platform officially requires users to be 13 in order to even have an account. The YouTube memo reportedly described viewer addiction as the goal. So the main argument was that these companies knew. They had internal knowledge that their design features were driving compulsive use in young users, and they deployed those features anyway. And after more than 40 hours of deliberation over the course of 9 days, the jury came back and found Meta and YouTube liable on every single question related to negligence. 10 out of 12 of the jurors voted in favor of the plaintiff on every count. They awarded $3 million in compensatory damages, 70% from Meta and 30% from YouTube. Then the jury added another $3 million in punitive damages on top of that, making it $6 million total. Now, I know that $6 million sounds like a lot, but for companies who are worth hundreds of billions of dollars, it's honestly a drop in the bucket for them. What matters most here is precedent. This was the first time that a jury found these companies liable, not for content on their platforms, but for the design of the platforms specifically. And there are currently over 2,000 similar lawsuits waiting in the wings. Oh, and this verdict came one day after a separate jury in New Mexico ordered Meta to pay $375 million in a different case for failing to protect children from predators on Instagram and Facebook. Two massive losses in 2 days. Ay, ay, ay. Both companies say they plan to appeal. But the legal community is already comparing this moment to the tobacco lawsuits of the 1900s, where for decades, tobacco companies denied that cigarettes were addictive until eventually the dam broke. Okay, so now I want to talk about what this actually means for us, the everyday content creators who are building businesses on these platforms. Because I know your first reaction might be, Jess, these are lawsuits about kids and mental health. What does this have to do with my Pinterest strategy or my content for my business? And I get that, but I want you to take a few steps ahead with me here. The features that were on trial, infinite scroll, autoplay, push notifications, algorithm recommendations, these are not random features. These are the core mechanics of how platforms like this keep you and me engaged. They're the reason that you pick up your phone and an hour passes before you even know it. They're the reason a notification pulls you back in even if you were thinking about logging off. They are also, by the way, the reason that our content gets seen or doesn't. The algorithm decides which creators get pushed to new audiences and which ones stay invisible. And a lot of that has to do with how long your content is being watched and how much it's being engaged with. And a jury just said that these design choices caused real documentable harm to a specific person in the court of law. The verdict itself doesn't force Meta or YouTube to redesign their platforms, at least not right now. That's really important to note. But here's what could happen next. With 2,000 plus similar lawsuits in the pipeline, platforms could start proactively changing the features inside their apps in order to reduce legal liability before more trials happen. State legislators and potentially Congress could use this verdict to pass new online safety laws, especially around algorithms and feeds that are fueled by algorithms. Regulations could require platforms to offer chronological or algorithm-free options by default, particularly for younger users. Advertisers could start pulling back from platforms that they consider a reputable and legal risk, which then affects ad revenue that funds creator monetization programs. All of that slowly trickles down to us. Obviously, I'm not saying for sure that any of those things are going to happen or are happening. I'm simply brainstorming and thinking about the effects of something like this and what it could have on the industry. If the algorithm changes, even partially, creators who have built their entire strategy on going viral through the algorithm are the ones who are going to feel it the most. There are two types of content strategies that most content creators fall into. The first one is algorithm dependent. You post, you hope the algorithm picks it up, you hope it pushes it to new people, it either goes viral or it doesn't, and then you chase the next hit. Your growth is entirely dependent on what the platform decides to do with your content. That sentence alone is like, what? If the algorithm changes, which we've all seen, or if it's legally forced to change, your traffic could change drastically overnight. The second strategy is search-based. You create content that answers a specific question that somebody is actively searching for. They search for it, they find you. You didn't need the algorithm to make a judgment call. You showed up because you were the answer to their search. Platforms built around search behavior, like Pinterest, also like Google and YouTube, are fundamentally more stable because even if the recommendation algorithm changes, the search function still works. Someone still types how to use heatless curls in 2026 and your content still comes up. I want to be real with you for a second. I keep coming back to Pinterest, and this lawsuit points to a big reason why. Pinterest is not a social media platform in the same way that other platforms are. This is actually something that Pinterest argues themselves. They are considered a visual search engine. People go there with intent, they search for ideas, they are in a planning mindset, and not necessarily in a passive scrolling mindset, even though I can get stuck scrolling on Pinterest, but it's usually because I'm searching for something. When someone opens Instagram or TikTok, they're not usually searching for something specific. Unless you're searching for the funny reel or the funny meme, that you forgot to save. They're generally open to whatever the algorithm decides to put in front of them. That is passive consumption. And that is exactly the behavior that was on trial last week. The shelf life of content on Pinterest is incomparable to any other platform. And Pinterest is not built around the same addictive mechanics that were scrutinized in court. So that's my plug for Pinterest. I've got a lot of Pinterest videos if you want to check out more about why I love Pinterest and why I think it's a smart move. Okay, but here's what to actually do with all of this. First, audit your traffic sources. Pull up your analytics and ask yourself, where is my traffic actually coming from? If your answer is almost entirely Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook, then you've managed to put all of your eggs in an algorithm basket that is currently under massive legal and regulatory pressure. That's a risk worth knowing about. Second, I would highly recommend treating Pinterest as the search engine that it is. This means keyword research. It means optimizing your pin descriptions. It means creating content that answers specific questions and not just content that looks pretty or is funny. Third, build something that you own. Your email list, your website, your blog, because no matter what happens to any platform, whether it gets regulated, redesigned, or shut down, your email list belongs to you. Pinterest is a great traffic driver to your own assets, and that's exactly how I recommend using it. And fourth is to stay informed. The lawsuit is not over. There are over 2,000 more cases like it coming. There could be federal legislation, there will be platform changes. Understanding the business and legal landscape around the platforms that you use is not optional anymore. It's part of running a sustainable content business. Listen, I don't think Instagram's going away tomorrow. Like, not even close. I don't think YouTube is going anywhere. I use both, and you probably do too. And I'm not suggesting that you don't. They're great platforms, and when used the right way, all of them combined together give us a phenomenal opportunity that is only prevalent in today's day and age and has never been seen before in any other time in history, and I'm incredibly thankful for that. And there's a version of this where these platforms appeal the verdict, nothing major changes, and we all move on. But the trend is clear and the pressure is building. And the creators who diversify their traffic now, who invest in platforms designed around search, who build email lists, and who create content with a long shelf life, those are the creators who will still be standing 5 years from now, regardless of how this shakes out. Remember, I'm not a lawyer. I'm a content creator who is using these platforms just like you are. I'm somebody who likes to stay informed, and I love to try to help others as well. Keeping up with content creator news is important, and it's something that I do often. And so now I'm going to be talking about it. If this was helpful or if you liked this, drop a comment, hit like, let me know your thoughts, especially if you're already using Pinterest as part of your strategy. I would love to hear what's working for you. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new here. I talk about real content creator strategy, Pinterest traffic, and the honest side of building a content business. None of that highlight reel stuff, just the real work. I'll see you next time. For now, go make something good. And don't forget to have really good coffee.